I'm going to run to the bar and drink them into bankruptcy. About an hour and a half later, I decided I wanted a shot of Patron. I went to the bar, money in hand, fully prepared to pay for it. Otherwise, it was much too complicated. Prearrange it with the owner, the bartender, and the bouncer, and still only the promise of maybe? Were they kidding me? The handsome, young, blonde bartender poured me a shot. The bar was empty except for the bar staff, since the doors hadn't opened yet. I had my wad of cash in my hand and said to the bartender, "How much?" He said, "You're playing, right? It's on the house." And he smiled. I said, "You sure?" He said, "Yeah." Ah, how nice, I thought. A sensible human being. So I said thanks, tipped him $2, and went back to the dressing room to sip my shot in peace. About 2 minutes later, Mark, the owner of the club, walked in, looked disapprovingly at my shot glass sitting innocently on the low table in front of me, and started to explain to me how the drink tickets were supposed to work. It was the exact same spiel Ike had given me. "I just want to let you know that the drink tickets are good for just Yeah, I interrupted. I know, Ike told me. But I wanted a shot of Patron. Was Mark spying on me? Did someone rat me out? How did Mark even know I'd gotten a drink? I hadn't seen him in the bar area. "Well," Mark continued, "these tickets don't get you Patron." Well, I wanted to pay for it, I really did. Believe me, I thought, I really wanted to avoid this. I didn't want you coming after me to lecture me and scold me like I was a misbehaving 8-year-old. It's not my fault the bartender wouldn't take my money. Not my fault the bartender was just being cool. Then Mark said accusingly, almost hatefully, "Yeah, the bartender's cute, huh?" Mark seemed to be implying that since the bartender was Studley, I must have flirted and sweet-talked him into giving me a free shot. Of course, nothing could have been further from the truth. But I wasn't going to waste my time trying to explain myself. I just wanted to play my show and get out of there. I had been playing in these kinds of places for so many years that the novelty had worn off. Rock clubs were fun and exciting when I was a teenager, but I wasn't a kid anymore, and I was still being treated as if I were. The clubs all stayed the same, but I had changed. This wasn't what I thought my life was going to be. I thought that by now, in my 30s, I'd have reached a certain level of success and comfort and respectability. I thought that if I put in the time and the work, it would eventually take me to a nicer, better place than where I was now. And I had put in the time. I'd worked so hard. Why was I still doing this? Why didn't I quit while I was ahead? The truth was, I'd lost my chance to quit while I was ahead. At this point, quitting would be cutting my losses. The returns were diminishing, had been for a while. And this truth was hitting me hard down there in that cold basement dressing room. Sometimes I almost wished someone would just end it for me, force me out, because I couldn't seem to pull myself out of it and move on to some life more becoming to a grown-up woman. There never seemed to be a definite point at which I should throw in the towel. What if I didn't want it to be over? What if I just wanted it to be, and still believed it could be, better? Maybe it was time for me to get a real job. But what would I do? The question, what am I going to be when I grow up, had suddenly become very pertinent. I had never needed to ask that question when I was younger because I knew. It was always going to be music. That was what I thought then. But I learned that it's not that simple. There's more to a career in music than music. And all those other complications had caught up to me and led me to question everything that had been certain for so long. How could I ease out of this with some of my dignity intact? What was keeping me here in this kid's game? I'd bet my whole life and my future on playing it and winning. And it had paid off for a good chunk of time in my 20s.